Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I am your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I'm so grateful to be joining you on this beautiful Thursday evening ahead of a massive weekend for the Arizona State Sun Devils football program as they welcome a top 10 team in the country in Texas Tech to Tempe to Mountain America Stadium. And Sam Leavitt is probable, as we've discussed the last several days. The feeling around his status for this week has been gradually improving. It's looked more and more like he would be able to give it a go. And barring any unforeseen changes in the next 2 days, like we saw last week, he should be able to play, and that's going to be absolutely invaluable to Arizona State this weekend against an incredible Texas Tech front seven. An incredible Texas Tech defense as a whole. They're going to need all the help they can get this weekend if they want to pull out a win. But beyond that, it was a great day once again to cover an Arizona State team. The focus has been on football for the most part, but today I got to watch the end of Arizona State women's basketball practice, talked to Coach Molly Miller, talked to McKenna Brackens, who transferred to Arizona State. She's a forward, 6'1" forward, junior, transferred to Arizona State from UNLV over the off-season period, and there's a lot of anticipation around the program. I've kind of alluded to the fact that we could see an awakening in Arizona State women's basketball over the last several months. Molly Miller is just a winner, and usually when you're a winner at all levels, and there's no sign pointing towards Molly Miller being anything other than a winner. She's won almost 300 games in 10 years as a head coach, and that's 30 wins a year essentially. Her culture is consistent. She's a proven developer of talent, and now she has more resources, such as the NIL fund, the Sun and Angel Collective that Arizona State has, facility upgrades. Graham Rossini, who is, as she said when asked by me, he's a great connector. He creates a collaborative environment and makes all coaches feel welcome. That is just the start of it. The coaches all support each other. There's a lot of infrastructure that is backing the resurgence of Arizona State women's basketball. They haven't been to the tournament since 2019. They might not make it in 2026, but I would not be surprised at all if they made it in 2027, and I wouldn't rule out 2026 either. There are some very, very talented players on this team, such as McKenna Brackens. Like I said, UNLV 2-year player. She has some very pointed highlights during her 2-year career there, including a buzzer beater, game winner last season. She averaged almost 10 points a game in her sophomore year. She got named a sleeper in the Big 12 Conference media poll, I believe. That was released yesterday, but don't be surprised if this team makes a little bit of noise. They might not quite make the tournament, but they're going to play hard. They're going to grind out every possession defensively. They're going to run on offense. Certainly going to be one of the more aggressive teams in a competitive Big 12 conference. And Molly Miller's culture is already taking shape just a few months after taking the job. And I'm very, very excited to be covering that team this season. I think the state of the program is exceptional, and I can't wait to be at their season opener on November 3rd against Coppin State. And that leads me into talking about the state of the men's basketball program. So I'm not sure when we are going to get availability with the program, with Coach Bobby Hurley, with a select player or two. It's to be determined, but there was something big that came out surrounding the program earlier today. The Big 12 media poll was released. No, it was the coaches poll that was released ahead of Big 12 Media Days in Kansas City next Wednesday. The coaches predicted Arizona State to finish dead last in the conference, 16 out of 16, much like the football team was projected last year, except this year it's not a very wide open conference outside the top 8 teams or so. I think that the gap between the 8th best team and the 16th best team pretty substantial, and I don't really see potential for any team below about Baylor, maybe even Cincinnati, to be a serious contender for the conference crown. I will say that I think that if players such as Dame Salan and Mo Odom and Marcus Adams Jr. emerge, some of the players that are being talked about as top players on the team, if they emerge, if they're healthy, if they're consistently making an impact, I could see Arizona State creeping up to around 10 or so, which that could be edge of the tournament caliber. It's certainly possible, but there are some big ifs. Like we've covered recently, Bobby Hurley really had his back against the wall once Jaden Quaintance, Josan Sannon, Amir Ali, bunch of players left the program. He was kind of left scrambling, and he really had no choice but to do something different than he's done before. And he really tried to build a roster that is deeper than last season. Last season, one of the issues was that he had to run 6 or 7 players rotation-wise during games because of how injured they were, and that he didn't fill up the entire roster like he could have. Another thing, Mo Odom is going to be a player that I talk about a lot in the coming months. He is really the first pure point guard that Hurley's had since Frankie Collins, and even then, Mo is a more proven three-point shooter than Frankie. I love Frankie. He was a great representative of ASU basketball, but Mo Odom shot almost 38% from 3 last season at Pepperdine, and hopefully he is going to provide a stabilizing force at the point guard position. And then Hurley went for a veteran-laden roster. Almost everybody within the program right now has experience either in Division I basketball or overseas, and that's something that's going to be very interesting. A lot of guys transitioning from the overseas FIBA game to college basketball rules. Going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, Hurley is in a contract year. He really needs to perform to remain Arizona State's coach for a 12th season and beyond. It's going to be very fascinating to see how the team gels, how the team moves into Big 12 play, because we saw last season things can go south quickly. They were looking like a potential NCAA tournament team going into conference play, and it completely unraveled, whether it was injuries, discontent within the locker room, whatever else you want to point fingers at. It's just proof that things can change in an instant in a good or bad way. And Arizona State, unfortunately, just had a nightmare season last year. That's just the only way you can put it. I respect Bobby Hurley immensely. I think he's done all he can to rebuild the program this year. I wish the absolute best for them. Especially non-conference. They will not get an easy non-conference slate. They already have a game set against Gonzaga. They have a game set against Texas in the Maui Invitational. They will likely play NC State, or I'll have to check who the other team is in the Maui Invitational. UCLA in a road game. Oklahoma at Mortgage Mashup Center in downtown Phoenix, where the Phoenix Suns play. They have a challenging non-conference schedule once again this year. And then once you get into conference play, you play Kansas, who is led by Darren Peterson. BYU is led by AJ DeBansa. Arizona, who's led by Koa Pete, Braden Burrius. Just a very, very challenging conference. That's not even mentioning Big 12 preseason player of the year, JT Toppin and Texas Tech. Iowa State is going to be very good. Cincinnati could be sneaky good. The future of Arizona State men's basketball is uncertain right now. You can see the potential still, especially with the renovations at DFA and all the support that's been flowing in, particularly from former alumni James Harden, program legend. But time will tell what ultimately comes of the men's basketball program. I still have high hopes for them moving forward, and best of luck to Coach Hurley. Like I said, season opener is the day after the women's basketball one, November 4th against Southern Utah, and I will likely be at that game as well. So stay tuned for men's basketball updates. Stay tuned for the women's basketball season opener. Until then, I will be at 2 football games. Continue to go to football practices and reporting from there. And thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to a little bit of a switch up in terms of topic. And your support means everything to me. And I will see you tomorrow with a preview for Arizona State and Texas Tech. Thank you so much.